Many of us would love to think that we're peculiar, unique, and no one is quite the same like us. It's easy to see why. We look different from most people, we act differently, and we have different personalities. After all, those are the things that make us unique. And we do love to be different. Hell, I would even go so far as to say that some people are desperate to be different. That is why we have those "I'm so quirky" expressions going around. Anyway, personality is vital to judge someone's character. We all have personalities. You do have them, right? But like many things in life, there are things that you can and cannot change, like your sexual orientation, your political views, or your looks. But what about your preferences? Can you hate the food that you like? Can you love the music that you hate? Can you change your personality? The very thing that makes you, you. Well, it depends. Personality is a pattern of thoughts, feelings, and behavior unique to a person. Even animals have personalities, like ants and apes. It is not fixed or static, a developmental phenomenon. It is ever-changing. But it is not like you change every day, since it is very stable in the short term. Hints of personality develop very early, maybe before language even develops in children. Babies love carrots more if their mothers eat carrots during pregnancy. Anyway, researchers don't call them personality. Instead, they call it temperament, which is how children react to other personalities around them. Personality is not consistent before the tween years. It crystallizes into the Big Five during the tween years at the age of 11 or 12. The Big Five personality traits is the common measurement used to assess personality. It consists of extroversion, agreeableness, conscientiousness, openness to experience, and neuroticism. Once they emerged, they don't change much. Personality traits first observed by elementary teachers predict the adult behavior of their students. This means that the traits tend to stay consistent within each decade. So, what shapes our personality? Some think that environment is responsible for molding our personality. But children from the same family who share the same family environment don't always give rise to the same personality when the effects of genetic similarity were removed. And this baffles the researchers. It suggests that a shared family environment has virtually no effect on personality. Research then focused on the non-shared environmental effects, the ones that distinguish siblings from one another, like different treatment from parents, peer influences, experience outside family, and individually different reactions. In adults, the non-environmental effects may include the environment and role after leaving the family of origin. This may explain why different work, marital, and family experiences result in personality change. Well, if environment is not the whole piece of the puzzle, maybe genetics can give some hints, and some research shows that genetics play a bigger role than the environment. Twin and adoption studies have shown that 50% of our personality is genetics. Identical twins raised apart have very similar personalities as twins raised together. In one study, identically separated twins married women with the same first names, shared similar hobbies, and had similar personality traits. Some twins though have different personalities when they're raised in different environments, and even in the same environment. Furthermore, children raised by their foster parents were influenced more by their parents than their genetics. So, many researchers believe that the interactions between both genetics and environment play a role in shaping our personality. Nature and nurture act in a complex way. If a child is naturally attracted to playing music, which is part of nature, then they would be more likely to practice it, and those are nurture. There are three types of gene-environment interactions. The first is active, but the person with a certain genotypes creates the environment for the expression of the genotypes. Then there's passive, where the genetic parents gave the genes and early environmental influences that contribute to the development of the child. And the last one is reactive, where the non-family individuals react to the behavior produced by the genotypes. They think that during childhood, the environment plays a bigger role since it is always changing, from kindergarten to school and to work. And in adulthood, we tend to stay the same since everything stabilizes and genetics play a bigger role. Okay then, so why do we like what we like? What are other factors that shape us? Well, beliefs, body shape, and many other things influence our liking. First, we know that genetics, the environment, and the mixture of both of them shape us. So, some of them are innate, like the hate of bitterness, fear of heights, and the same optimal preferences for glucose in water, since it is the same sweetness as the ripe fruits around the world. Some others are caused by some personal life experiences, like the abhorrence of math. But they can change though, like our tenderness towards coffee after drinking it many times, even when you hate it initially, called the mere exposure effect. It is the same as hearing a new song that you hate. After listening to it a couple of times, you grow attached to it, though too much exposure can lead to contempt, and I think we know this all too well. The music that you listen to will get boring if you listen to it incessantly, just like me hearing my voice. Not that I like my voice in the first place. Culture and beliefs play a big role too. For example, when people drink white wine with tasteless red food coloring, they would think they're drinking red wine. It seems like our preferences are pretty malleable. In restaurants, when we add delicious sounding words, like the word scrumptious, we like the food more than the less delicious sounding food, even though the dish was the same. When we know something better, we like that something even more. This is called categorization. When we know how to categorize something, we appreciate them more because we know how to discriminate the good about the very good and enjoy the less good. Like when you say this food isn't bad for airport food. However, knowing too much can lead to contempt. In terms of relationships, it ruins the idealized version of someone because, more often than not, reality isn't always aligned with our expectations. But in general, we like familiarity and we dislike the unfamiliar, called the processing fluency, since processing familiar stimuli is faster and it is experienced as pleasant. In early society, taste is just a form of social learning. When we see other people eat things and they survive, we think it might be good for us. As society became more complex, we created a prestige model. We see important people eating certain food and we associate them with social status. People then began to prefer those choices than sheer functionality. Personality theorists think that beliefs are a part of our personality. Our beliefs influence our personality because we do things that we think are the best for us. We eat the foods that we think are good for us, clothes that suit our social status, and try to get other things that we think we deserve. So it influences our taste and personality. That is because we are essentialists. What we believe about the essence of something defines our impressions and experiences. From the evolutionary perspective, what we like might not give us reproductive benefit directly, but it might be a display to other people what we really are, like a peacock showing off their tail, a way to show our better selves by using our personality and our interest to attract others. All that display would give other people an idea, a conceptualization of what we really are. After all, we are just a concept of what people think we are in their heads. Evolution might have some influence in shaping our personality. Some traits are crucial for survival, like conscientiousness. Spiders that spin tidy webs catch more prey. Bees that are more hygienic, that remove more dead colony members, reduce the risk of diseases, gain more weight, and reproduce more. And Darwin's finches with neither nest attract more mates. Evolution may also explain the diversity of personality for our survival since life is unpredictable. Other than that, needs impact our personality too. If all our needs are met, we would feel more comfortable and our personality would reflect that. Also, looks can affect how you behave, from hunky confident jocks to small shy nerds. Stronger men with macho bodies act more extroverted and they tend to worry less, and it can even be seen in animals, though this is more noticeable in men and less in women. The same goes for attractiveness, though this time around this can be found in women and men. It can even affect your political views. Stronger and muscular men were more likely to be against political egalitarianism. The results for women though were mixed. This theory is quite controversial, but it is a humbling reminder of our animalistic roots. So, can we change? Is it possible at all? Yes, we can change, although only to a certain extent. In general, everyone changes as we age. Our personalities tend to get better. It is called the maturity principle, though some change more than others. The change is usually accompanied by life changes. After all, personality is the combined characteristics that are subject to life-altering experiences. There are things you can and cannot change. For instance, it is possible to change habits and behaviors, attitude and outlook on life, and physical and verbal responses. But to change, you have to want to change, and you have to acknowledge that it takes time and effort. You also have to believe you can change. People who are praised for their hard work rather than intelligence work harder. Even people who lie and cheat can change, but they have to address the underlying problem, and the people that have no remorse or the desire to change usually won't. However, some things can change, or at least are harder to change, like core personality traits. They change in smaller ways, not completely. If you were an introvert, you might not change as an extrovert, even when you behave differently in certain situations. Plus, seeing a therapist is associated with personality trait change. It changed neuroticism for the better, and other traits except for openness show little changes too. It is pretty significant that people who have changes in neuroticism using psychotherapy did not relapse when treated for depression. So, should you change at all, or should you stay the same? Well, it's up to you. If you want to change, just go for it, as long as you're staying true to yourself. If you want to stay and accept it as it is, you can do that too. But according to ancient Chinese philosopher Xunzi, we're born with a lot of messy things, and as Confucius would say, overcome this self-meaning, this messy self. In other words, the goal is to change and transform yourself for the better. The world would be a dull, monotonous place if everyone had the same personality. So it is essential that we have all this variety. As they say, variety is the spice of life.